If this is the fifth video you're watching in a row on social media, stop. This is not a place where we're looking to encourage scrolling. This is a place where we're looking to encourage leading. And it starts with yourself. So if you're looking to kill time, stop this video. Go walk, go read, go breathe. Do the thing you've been avoiding. Only come back when you're ready. When you will show up with a strong intention. Not just to listen, but to take notes, reflect, and act on the insights you're getting from this episode. Leadership starts the moment you take responsibility for your own attention. I am Charles. I'm passionate about leadership development. Some of my roles include being the founder of On a Quest. And part of this quest I'm on is this podcast, Everyone is a Leader. And everyone is a leader means that whether you're conscious of it or not, whether you like it or not, you are a leader. Sometimes, as a podcast host or guest, we are thrown back to answering what we think might sound like the right answer. In this space, there is no right or wrong. There is authentic or not, and we are allowed to fail. The structure of each episode is going to be 1, the leader's journey, the real story of our guest, not just the LinkedIn one. 2, a breakthrough conversation, 1 live leadership challenge our guest is experiencing that we will dissect together. And 3, a key takeaway you can do at home, we leave you with. Today's guest is Nick Miller. He has built, scaled, exited companies and led global teams. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Let's start with a little check-in. What's in here right now?
Okay, straight to it. I'm at an interesting inflection point in my career. After running in a specific direction for 20 years, I'm now reevaluating which is the next direction I want to run in for the next 5 to 10. So,
beautiful. Well, let's get to it.
Okay, great.
What does leadership make you think of?
So maybe I'm slightly different to some other leaders. What I think about leadership is that you're a group of people all working for the same direction. And the leader is part of this group. And it's just a person showing what is the right direction to go. But it's not someone that is set apart from the group. And it's a team that is all together. It's just that one person has the extra responsibility of navigating and adjusting during the path.
You started this definition by saying that you see leadership in a different way. How are you seeing it, I would say, otherwise?
Of all the different types of leaders that you can have, I'm really someone that wants to be part of a collective.
I see.
And consider everyone's role almost at the same importance.
Yeah.
Whenever I lead teams, I want to feel like the people around me are valued in the same way, have the same space to bring value to the team equally, rather than at a different level.
I want to go deep into what shaped you in terms of understanding leadership this way. Who might have shaped this idea of leadership that you're holding?
At the very start of my career, I worked in a manufacturing plant in the middle of nowhere. The finance function was led by my manager, and the plant was led by someone that I interacted very often. They both had a very kind of direct, tough, but also really kind approach to leadership. So you could feel that they valued you. My first manager, I think, had a really important role in embracing me as a new person in the team, helping me step up, giving me space to thrive. Those are the people that I think back to in terms of impacting my idea of leadership.
One part of your sentence I want to double click on. You said tough and direct and at the same time kind. Can you talk more about that polarity?
Yeah.
And how it impacted you?
When you know that Every interaction that you have with them is not just for their own agenda, but for yours. It makes you feel very positive about it. Whenever they communicated something to me, it was for the benefit of the company or the benefit of the direction that we wanted to go in, but it was also in the benefit of me and my development.
Okay.
And they transmitted that somehow.
Is there any detail of kindness, of caring of you that particularly touched you?
I had just arrived in a big company, first job. My manager had a team of 20 people that he was in charge of, and those first weeks, every week he had set aside two-hour meetings with no real agenda to just go through how I'm onboarding, how I'm learning, and I felt, wow, that's a real investment in me. I mean, that's 4 hours every week, one-on-one.
Yeah.
And at the very beginning, it was just about settling in the new city, in the new place. It wasn't anything about my work. It was, okay, have you found a place to live? Are you happy with it?
Caring for you.
Yeah, caring for me. Just making sure that I was okay. I mean, he knew that I was young and in a new place.
Actions more than words.
Yeah, 4 hours a week, one-on-one for the first few weeks. I mean, he wouldn't give that to anybody else.
Yeah. What you said about the kindness, I didn't pick up yet what you described like direct and tough at the same time.
Yeah.
How would that show up?
If you start, especially with all this investment of time, then you've already earned a lot of trust. So because you feel like you've been helped and supported, when you're giving feedback, you're not holding back. You're not sugarcoating it. And I react quite well to that. I mean, if I think that the person is being really honest and they have a good expectation of what excellence looks like, and you're new, you have no idea what excellence looks like at the beginning of your career. Zero. I mean, it's really hard. Yeah. So I appreciated that.
The proof of kindness, of investment of time, of action, is almost giving permission to go in a shortcut and tell you things how they are, because it comes from a good intention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a good leader builds, that trust quickly, so that things can then be much more efficient and much faster.
You just described what's your ideal leadership style, or at least one that inspired you. Where would you scale yourself in that mix of kindness and directness?
I think that I've evolved a lot in my career. I think at the beginning, it was about thinking that I had all the answers, which was showing people the way. This is the way we need to go.
Directing.
Yeah. This is how we need to do it.
Yeah.
And that's definitely changed now. I really focus on giving people an environment supporting them for them to thrive and to tell me which way we should go. I try to imitate those examples, which is very honest with feedback, because people understand that the feedback is coming from the right place, but also giving people space to make their own decisions and also make their own mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite happy for people in the team to make mistakes.
How do you ensure, especially when it's tough, that you come from the right place?
You need to have empathy as a leader to understand how do you build the right communication method for this person. For me, that's a real key part of my leadership style, I would say, is understanding what motivates each person, why are they doing what they want to do, and then explaining how this can fit into their why.
Yeah. What are the roles that you're the most committed to in this life phase of yours that you're in right now?
I was at a company for 6.5 years, leading a team of 130 people. I left that a few months ago. I'm now advising, working with smaller companies. There's a lot of skills that you need to be a great leader. But one superpower that the best leaders have is that they have a drive and energy that is unmatched and which is infectious. You can't fake that. And it creates an energy which other people will just absorb around you and helps them elevate themselves as well. So right now where I'm at in this space is thinking, what's going to be the challenge, the environment that's going to allow me to give 100+% so that I can be great at what I do and help the other people around me.
When was a time where you felt at that 100%, like, like, okay, I was in the zone.
One moment was in Africa. I was in Kenya, and I was responsible for launching the first major e-commerce platform for East Africa, together with my co-founder. It was really hard work, very intense, long days, long nights. And after a few months, or even maybe 9 months, 12 months, this idea started to really fly. You could feel like everything was starting to work really well. Me and my co-founder were getting along really well, found the way to work. It gave me a huge amount of confidence to have worked so hard on something which is quite challenging, on a big ambition, and to see it all start to come together.
And what was the feeling, even in your body, like, take us there?
You have a high level of inner confidence. You don't spend much time doubting yourself. You make decisions very quickly. And so there's like a wave of positive outcomes that continue to happen.
One last question in this section. You worked across many cultures. How is it in terms of navigating different cultures as a leader for you?
I'm lucky because I grew up in a multicultural environment. Yeah. So my family are Italian, American. I was in London. My wife today is French. So all of that is context that people behave as a result of their upbringing and in different ways. Yeah. And you can interpret things in a very different way. So I am really open by fortune, the way I am, to think, okay, why did someone say that? Or why did they do it this way?
I see.
And very often there is, a history behind that. And that history is different to your history and is different to someone else's history. I was fortunate to work in Taiwan, in Vietnam, in Kenya, in the UK, in Spain, so now in Italy. And each one of those markets have very different ways of expressing themselves. When I arrived in Taiwan, I didn't speak a word of Chinese. And I was responsible for a team. And I kept on asking people there to show me their work as they were working on it. And they refused because in that culture, they don't want to show to their senior person something that they're not proud of yet. So I didn't realize that I was actually really being uncomfortable for them. I was being quite intrusive. You can't ask someone who's just started a piece of work to show their work to you when they're not already showing it in that culture. Once you start to experience all the different nuances, then you are very open to someone's behavior.
Yeah. Your personal history is a tool for you, right? To come from a place of empathy. I'm putting myself in their shoes, trying to understand their perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really interesting.
But like you said, you can understand what's driving that behavior if you build that trust with them, right? If you've shown that you care.
So that there is space for that conversation to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of leadership that I like, where you've built this trust. And so you can ask those questions. I felt this way about that. How did you
calling
feel?
out what you're feeling, right?
Yeah.
What you're sensing is happening.
Yeah. I need to, I need to do that more, but...
Oh, okay. That's the perfect segue to the next section. So in that second part, Nick, we're interested into a current challenge you're having. You said, I need to do more of that when we talked about calling out what you're sensing that is happening.
That's a great skill to have, to really be very intentional about what's going on. A lot of the time in a work environment, people are not always saying exactly what's on their mind.
Yeah.
There's a superficial layer, and to go deeper, I think is a great skill to be able to do. So I think that's one area that I think a lot of leaders could improve, and I could improve. The remote culture makes it harder. When you are in an office, it's very easy to notice even body language may be off and to make a comment, how's it going, what's up. Whereas in a remote, there's a very clear structure to the conversation. There's an agenda, there's a title, and so you lose some of that.
Nick, if I may, who are you not going forward enough that would help you step up in your leadership?
There are moments in which you can feel there's something else going on. You don't put your finger on it. That's what I'm looking to do with myself, and I think what is important with a team member. Whenever there's something going on, try to go back to what is your motivation? Why are we here? Where do we need to go? Why are you frustrated, unhappy, etc., or what could get you more motivated in the context of where you need to go. But I don't address that as often as you should, I think. And I think finding the trigger to do that in a remote setup is hard and something that I need to think about how I want to do and be more intentional of.
There's more moments where you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I had an opportunity to point that out a bit like more clearer or to
Yeah.
call something out.
If you overlook these kind of conversations multiple times, if this is something that you really want to be successful in, then investing that time to go deep as often as possible.
In those conversations that we're not having, right? It's like kind of like there is a distance that is being created with the inner word that the person is creating, the stories that they're creating, and then the stories you're creating. And so you're not talking about how you feel and what you think. So that wall gets like thicker, and then finding the courage to be authentic about what you think, how you feel, and being able to articulate it in a way, of course, that is constructive. It makes such a difference in the connection.
That's really the challenge of the leader. And that's what the responsibility and the burden that a leader should have. And that's the one that I feel like the most, which is you need to be in a great space yourself to take the risk and go deeper with someone. And that's what a great leader does. It creates an environment for people to thrive. As the leader, you need to create that.
You said you want to call out more what you're sensing. What might be some of the potential blockers you're sensing in you that are in the way of doing that more often?
So I've always been, either a co-founder. I did that for multiple years in multiple companies. At PayFit, I was the GM for the UK and then the VP sales. So I've led large teams, and now I am an advisor.
Yeah.
And so it's a new role for me. I need to find how to operate within it.
I see.
What are the constraints? Because in every role, you have different constraints. As the co-founder or the CEO that I've done before, the constraint can be the budget. When you're working in a company as a VP sales, an operator, then the constraint there might be is the strategy or the vision of the company. As an advisor, which is my role today, it's a little less clear to me still. What are the constraints that you operate in?
You're trying to understand the codes of what's okay or not in that environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be able to have the strongest impact, but without becoming irreplaceable. I mean, you're an advisor, so you're not actually part of the team. So that's probably where this challenge is coming from, I would say, is a new role, a new expectation, and trying to figure out how to navigate that.
And what would it look like if you could break all the barriers of that and be like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to be my 100% self and not care about the consequences of those new codes, just as a imaginary fun process. Like, what would that look like? Like if you could call out everything that you're saying all the time in that new role.
In the end of the day, it's great, right? Because it's being really authentic. It's being really true to what you're experiencing. And I think that's refreshing for people. And when you come as an advisor from the outside, you can do that because you have nothing to lose, really.
I have an inspiration. I want to try something.
Okay.
You just connected with an energy that was like, could be fully authentic. It's refreshing. I just want you to pick whatever image you feel like connects you most with that energy, right? So take your time.
If I'm trying to think about the energy that I had when we just talked, and you're saying, what would it be like if I, did this? I'm thinking maybe this image here.
You get to show it to the camera. All right.
It's a woman running in the beach.
Yeah.
The water splashing everywhere, and she's having fun. So I think what I'm just trying to say is that if you're fully liberated to say everything that's on your mind, to be very intentional, to be super transparent, then it's like an area of freedom that you're operating in.
Yeah.
And you don't feel constrained. You don't feel these constraints that are maybe just in your head. And so you can enjoy things and you can be a bit more real about every interaction. It's very well known that great leaders are really authentic, and to be doing exactly what you want to be doing, saying exactly what you want to be saying, you're in your flow, and you just have to trust that all of these things that you're saying are going to deliver the right outcomes. To be fully yourself is going to create trust and openness with your team that's going to be valuable. So it's a bit of a leap of faith.
You have to anchor yourself in that faith.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so how would that look like if you would bring a bit more of that in your current new role?
When I think about a new role in a new company, I have a very clear idea before I join of how I want to start. I want to be very transparent very quickly and build the momentum.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that necessarily as an advisor.
I see.
Because it was a new position.
Yeah.
It wasn't sure how long it would be, how many clients I would work with. And so I didn't have this preconception and I didn't implement it. So if you come into an organization, it's a new organization, and you're very transparent. This is who I am. This is how I like to work. This is what I'm good at. This is not what I'm good at. And showing that really like day one, this is what I'm afraid of. This is what motivates me. This is all I am, and being super authentic. Then you've laid this foundation. I haven't done that in this situation because it's a new role. And so now, trying to find moments to do it feel a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because you've built perhaps a different persona around who you are.
I see. Are you okay that we brainstorm together?
Sure.
How it might look like? It's a great intuition you're having. Right now, when we think about this together, it's a missed opportunity. So how can we move from this missed opportunity to creating a new opportunity?
I think the very easy action, it would be to start sharing feedback.
Okay.
And requesting feedback.
Okay.
You then take the conversation to a different level, right? That hasn't been done. So I would say that would be a really good, easy action.
Yeah.
And to ask that from multiple people.
Yeah. That's great.
Because my interaction today is with many different people in the organization.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So initiating like a two-way feedback. What about we try this right now,
Okay.
to do that.
My feedback would be that, on this situation, is that, I wasn't expecting to have such a discussion today.
Yeah.
I think it's great to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I question how deep can I go?
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
Prerequisite is trust.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're great, but we still need to build a little trust.
It's true. Yeah. Well, thank you, because right now you're stepping up as a leader, being that authentic. The impact it's having on me to give you feedback is wow. Nick can get really real. And so thank you. Thank you for that.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. And this is one of the goal you have for yourself, getting real. And that's what you just demonstrated.
Of course, the more real it can be, I think the more people can resonate with it.
And I come from all my background of coaching. I'm rooting for you. It's like,
but I can feel the coach coming out to you.
Yes, of course.
You're not a podcaster. You're the coach.
So Nick, what are you living this conversation with today? What have you learned, or how was this experience?
I would say it kind of reminds you of things that you have in your mind, right?
Yeah.
Being real, being authentic, being vulnerable. That's how you grow. And being honest with yourself and facing those challenges head on, today, live environment, reminds you that that's the objective. Be real with yourself, understand what you want to work on, and try to take it head on and not be afraid.
What would be a category of people right now that you feel it would be the most important to speak to if you had to give an advice?
When you're becoming a manager and a leader of teams for the first time or the second time, and perhaps you're in your late 20s or mid 20s or early 30s, you have a lot of adrenaline, energy, motivation. You want to really do well. That's who I think it could help with. If I think back to myself, I wasn't intentional about a lot of things. You do things and you wait to see the outcome. And if the outcome is good, you're happy and so on, but you're not intentional about it. And over the span of managing many different teams, you can be a lot more intentional about what the direction you want to go in. And so I think that can help people that are managing, being really true to themselves, authentic. It's hard when you're in your 20s. You don't even maybe know yourself that well.
Yeah.
And so figuring out who you are, what you like, what motivates you, and who you want to be, and being intentional about that in every day.
It seems to be two parts. Like one is like spend time getting to know yourself better.
Absolutely.
Any recommendation on that?
Spending time, giving yourself time to take a step back. You need to do that, like at any level. You can be in the day-to-day, you can be full of meetings, you can have a busy week, maybe you have a family, so like that never stops. And you need to take time out of the day, take a step back and think about, okay, how did that week go? How did that month go? What did I like, what I didn't like? Try and remember, like, what are the moments in which you were in your flow, where everything that you were doing didn't feel difficult, it didn't feel painful, like you enjoyed, you lost track of time because it was great. And try and see if you can maximize those moments, because those are when you're at your best and you want to be at your best. When you create value for society, when you use your unique strength, that gives you a sense of fulfillment, and you will love that. What are you really good at, but also what comes naturally to you, so that you can really double down on those as a leader and build on your strengths. Most of the time, there is somewhere in between where you're really good at it, and part of the reason why you're really good at it is because there's something about it that you really like, actually. And so that's where your passion and the value you create for society coincide.
Your two-part advice that I loved was get to know yourself, spend time on that, and be intentional. Yeah. Can you expand on like what do you mean by being intentional, and what would be an advice you would give for people to be more intentional as leaders?
Being intentional is deciding how you spend your time. When you're a leader, there are a lot of things that come to you. I mean, actually, everything comes to you: meetings, projects, emails, Slack messages, phone calls, etc., client situations. You need to shift that dynamic completely, and it's not easy to do, which is to say, well, these are all the things that are coming to me. Which ones do I actually want to deal with, or are the priority? And let's change the agenda. I dictate the time. I dictate where I spend my time. And I block all of that out. And that's really hard to do. And I think that the more senior you become, that becomes really impactful. Because you are in a position of leverage. You have a large team behind you. And so you've been in that position to use the expertise and the skills that are unique to you. And so trying to be intentional about how you spend your time, and despite all the noises and all the things that come to you, I think is key to drive your own fulfillment, to drive that energy that is positive, that infects the others, but also delivers impact.
Thank you, Nick. It has been great. Thank you for giving the whole of you and for accepting me challenging you as well and bringing you in places you would not expect. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just want to finish with one sentence I'm going to give to all my guests. It's a finish the sentence thing, right? So take your time. As simple as leadership is?
Leadership is authenticity, I would say. Being honest with who you are and where you want to go.
Well, that's a perfect way to conclude this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Charles. Great.
Leadership is not a title. Leadership is how you actually show up. So how will you show up in the next 24 hours to lead with intention? Here's one challenge for you. Open your work calendar right now. Pause this video if you need to. Look at this week or next week. Now, cancel one meeting and do something deeper instead. Plan to use that slide instead to take a step back from the day-to-day, reflect on your leadership. Think about how to become more aware of your impact. Maybe reach out for help, or use that time to truly connect with your people. Or maybe you want to have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding at work. Dedicate those 30 minutes, an hour, to thinking, strategizing, envisioning your company's future and yours. Plan it right now. Take action and let us know. You're always leading something. The only question is towards what? Every time we say, I can't, what we often mean is, I'm afraid or I'm not ready. So let's get real. Where in your life are you acting like you're stuck when maybe, just maybe, you're choosing not to act.